The opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Cable 14, its sponsors, or its shareholders, Cogeco Cable, Shaw Cable, and Source Cable Limited.
Hello, I'm Bob Bratina, the Mayor of the City of Hamilton. An exciting city to live in this time in our history. And part of the reason, the amazing transit improvements that we're looking at, we're planning for now under the heading of Metrolinx. And with me is a very special man who will be playing an important role in the development of our city, and that's Bruce McCuaig. Bruce has been the President and Chief Executive Officer of Metrolinx since September 2010. He began his career in public service in 1984. He's worked in land use planning and policy, municipal policy, transportation planning, policy and operations over the many years. And he's served in many capacities at the Ontario Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing for the past 10 years. His final role at the Ontario Ministry of Transportation was Deputy Minister, responsible for leading the 4,000 public servants dedicated to ensuring Ontario's transportation was efficient in safely moving people and goods across the province. And as President and CEO of Metrolinx, Bruce is heading a team that is committed to transforming transportation in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area. They want to deliver quality transportation services on time and on budget, and they are working very collaboratively with their partners. And that collaboration includes sitting in on the Mayor's program. Bruce, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Pleasure to be here.
Let's go to the beginning. How does this all start? What does Metrolinx evolve from, and how were you mandated?
Well, I think the start of Metrolinx was a recognition by the government in the mid-2000s, about 8 or 9 years ago, that transportation and congestion in this region was a growing issue that we needed to deal with. And also that the economy was really about one single economic region stretching from Oshawa through to Hamilton and up to Barrie. And people are traveling across the entire region, goods are traveling across the region, and we need to be planning for that transportation in one organized fashion. So that really was the mission, mandate, and the genesis of Metrolinx.
So let me ask you about the real mandate, because we've had some interesting conversations, which you're aware of, with regard to LRT, light rail transit, and we're really looking forward to whatever, wherever and whenever that LRT arrives. But it's looking through the documents, I see rapid transit as the lead statement on that. So we're talking really throughout the whole GTHA of the movement of people using whatever the modalities that are considered the most efficient, most economic, using those. So what would you say about that particular topic?
Well, I would say that when we developed the regional transportation plan called the Big Move, and that culminated with its adoption in 2008, we were working with the municipalities to come up with the most effective way to move people, and I should say goods as well, across the entire region. And in the context of Hamilton, that meant we needed to talk about the city's plans for rapid transit, light rail transit along the what's known as the A line and the B line in this community, how it intersects and is integrated with the regional parts of the transportation system, because we also want to connect it into how we want to grow the GO Transit system, and also how it connects into your neighbors in, for example, in Burlington. So coming together out of that plan in 2008 was a recognition that rapid transit, and rapid transit includes light rail transit, it includes bus rapid transit, it includes subways, it includes GO Transit, that we needed to have a rapid transit line here in Hamilton. Now, with the recent work from the City of Hamilton in terms of the Rapid Ready process, I think that sets the stage, and the partnership that we have going forward to deliver on what I think is a great opportunity to build light rail transit, rapid transit here in the City of Hamilton.
So the question arises, how does this get paid for? So what's the strategy going forward on that?
Okay. Well, we recognize that one of the challenges that we face in this region, which is different than other city regions around the world. When you go to places like London or Paris or Los Angeles or Chicago or Vancouver for that matter, they rely on transfer payments from federal governments, from provinces or states, and from cities to pay for this kind of infrastructure. And of course, we do that here in this region as well. But what you see in those other regions is they also have a dedicated, sustained revenue stream that's focused on transportation. So in a place like Vancouver, it's gasoline taxes, for example. In places like Los Angeles, it's sales tax. So we're having a conversation right now about what is the right investment strategy for us here in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area. We had 12 public roundtables over the past 2 months across the region. We had 2 in Hamilton, 1 in Dundas, and 1 downtown. And we had just about 1,000 people come out and talk to us about principles, about the plans, about the kinds of investment strategies that they think would work. And I think there's a growing awareness that if we want to have the kind of transportation system that saves us time, that doesn't have us stuck in traffic, that we need to have a sustained way to pay for it. And that's really what the investment strategy is about.
We just saw a picture of one of the public events that you attended, and of course you've been busy at that. On the question of funding, I have a document that was published by the Toronto Board of Trade in May 2010, the Move Ahead Funding the Big Move. And it was interesting that the Toronto Board of Trade insisted, because an election was coming up, that municipal leaders be engaged in the issue at that time. Do you support regional economic development through the expansion of the regional transportation system? And if so, how do you intend to fund it? So they were quite upfront in insisting that politicians engage in that discussion way ahead. And they also called on municipal candidates to outline how they would finance their transit infrastructure vision and not rule out any revenue tools such as parking surcharge, sales tax, gas tax, road tolls, payroll tax, all of this, the whole laundry list of things. So what you anticipate will be the outcome of the funding discussion when the strategy comes forward? Will there still be 25 things, or will there be 10 things, or will we still be able to consider some and not others? How do you, maybe it's not a fair question, but I'll ask anyway. Yeah. What do you foresee in that?
Well, first of all, we have to come up with a specific recommendation to the province and to you, Mayor, and your colleagues around the region by June the 1st. Yeah. So on May the 27th, the Board of Directors is meeting to go through what is going to be my and my staff's recommendation. I would want to first step back a little bit from the revenue tools and talk a little bit about an investment strategy. Right. So I think it's important to remember that revenue tools are one part of it, but we should also be thinking about how do we integrate our land use planning and our growth management with transportation. How do we make sure that all of our infrastructure decisions, not just transportation, but water, sewer, other forms of public infrastructure, are supporting our objectives? How do we make sure our system is efficient? And also, of course, what kinds of revenue tools? And we're going to have to be making a specific recommendation to the province and the municipalities, taking the 26 or so tools that have been used around the world and think about what do we think could work best here. Now, I can't tell you today what those are, but we are looking at 4 key principles that we tested with the public in all those roundtables that I mentioned. Mm-hmm. And they're principles like dedicated funding. People want to see that if they're being asked to invest over here, that it's going for these specific projects. They want to know that there's a straight line commitment between if I'm paying for something that I'm actually going to get these outcomes. So that's the first principle. Second one is fairness, that there should be a really tight link between if I'm contributing towards something through investments or revenue tools, then I'm also benefiting. So there's a connection between the costs and the benefits. The third one is equity around the region. People want to know that if the entire region is paying for our infrastructure, that the entire region is going to be benefiting from it. So it's not focused only on one community, that every community from Oshawa to Hamilton to Barrie are going to be receiving the benefits from this. And I think the fourth one that resonated very well with the public is accountability and transparency. They want to see that any monies collected are being managed properly, are being reported publicly, that people see progress and they see the outcomes in the end. So there has to be a very transparent way to be reporting back to the public on a regular basis. So we're going to be taking those 26 tools that have been used around the world, looking at those 4 principles, getting the input from the public, municipalities and stakeholders, and coming up with our best advice on May 27th. So It should be a very interesting day.
My guest is Bruce McCuaig, the President and Chief Executive Officer of Metrolinx. It's so difficult to deal with messaging in the public. You know, there are tweets and Twitters and Facebooks and blog sites and so on, and there have been some interesting controversies, let's say, with regard to things like funding. Some people suggested that there had recently been mixed messages between one of your administration, the very experienced Leslie Wu, and other comments made by Minister Glenn Murray. So was there any difference between what they were saying about...
I don't think so. I think we're very tightly on the same page with Minister Murray and vice versa. And I would really put it down to one key piece. We need to have a strong partnership with the municipalities for the projects that we're going to be delivering. For no other reason that we're building this infrastructure on your roads or under your roads or above your roads, and we need to have that partnership. And when we're looking at the scheduling of projects, we're going to have to think about project readiness. We're going to have to think about the link between the project and your land use policies to make sure that we're getting as much benefit from intensification and new development as we possibly can. We're going to have to think about the funding, the right staging plan, and how all the projects fit together. So there's going to be a whole bunch of factors that go into the mix. The final thing I'll say is that before we talk about scheduling, we shouldn't get too far ahead of ourselves. The first thing we need to get to is the fact that we need an investment strategy. So I think job one for us is to come forward with the investment strategy that we can build a consensus on with the province and municipalities. And once we've got the sense of what the sustainable funding strategy is, we can then get very engaged in what's the delivery program and what project goes in what order.
So it's an important thing to consider, and the public needs to understand the point of investment, that the government and Metrolinx is not in the business of handing out nice gifts like a beautiful train or a nice new this or that it all works together within a large strategy that in the end brings benefit to everyone because of the investment that was made with the infrastructure. That is
absolutely. It's a system. Everything is connected to everything else. Your residents here, mom may work here in the city of Hamilton, but maybe dad is working in Burlington, or their sons or daughters may be going to college or university in other municipalities. So you have to see how everything is connected together. In what I think the public wants to see is that, and this is something that Minister Murray has said to me quite a few times in the past few weeks as we've talked about this, is we need to be very evidence-focused in terms of the approach that we're taking, that we've got good data, that we can demonstrate that these are the right choices for the right projects at the right time. And I think your public, the people that I report to, expect us to make those kinds of recommendations.
So let's take a look and see if this comes out well on our Cable 14 camera. This is, and I'll hold that over there so that we can pick it up on camera 1. And you can describe, go ahead, Bruce, what we see here.
So this is a representation of what the big move looks like when we finish over the next 20 to 25 years. And there's really two messages, I would say. One is you see in green and red parts of what is the existing GO Transit system and the subway system. And you'll see that really they focus on bringing people to downtown Toronto in this area. And the system is really quite efficient in doing that. And it's a traditional way of delivering transit and transportation services called a radial system or a hub and spoke system. The essence of the plan with these yellow lines is to put on top of that radial system these north-south and east-west corridors of rapid transit that start to connect the great population and employment growth that's been occurring across the region, so that people have more choices, that they can get from Hamilton to downtown Mississauga, or from Vaughan to Markham, or Scarborough to Brampton. Because as we know, those origins and destinations are much more complicated now, and while people can get to these locations by car, we need to find convenient, comfortable, reliable ways for them to actually make these trips by transit too. So the essence of the plan, in one word, is to put on this north-south and east-west grid of rapid transit across the entire region.
Okay, so I'm just going to move I'll get that shot again close up, please, so we can hone in on my favorite part of that map, which
absolutely.
Which is what you see on your screen right now. So there is the connectivity that is so important to us, and leave on that close-up for just another moment, because there you can see the green line coming in, which is the Hunter Street GO service, and then above that is a yellow line that shows a black dot, and then onto Stony Creek a yellow dot, and that would be the extended new 2015 GO train service, which will not extend to Stony Creek until sometime after that, but that will be the initial. And then you can see our A-line, B-line configurations in yellow with regard to moving people within the city and up and down. There's some very important connections north-south too, because there's James Street North, and there's Hunter Street, then there's the top of the mountain, and then you see the airport. So that's the one way of looking at transportation, people moving policy, with the issue there being connectivity, that it all flows together.
Absolutely, and in the end, the systems need to be connected. People, yes, have to transfer from one line to another line, but to make the system comfortable for people, you need to reduce those in number as much as you can, and you have to make those connections as seamless as possible.
So we are awaiting the March 27th or June 1st announcement in terms of funding strategy. You have our wonderful Don Hull's beautiful, let me just reach over and get it here to prove that it exists. This is the Rapid Ready Expanding Mobility Choices in Hamilton plan, and you've had a chance to look through that plan. What would your comment be, Bruce?
Well, I think it's a great complement to the work that we're doing at Metrolinx, because what it does is set out from the cities of Hamilton's perspective how you're going to build your transit system over time to provide the kinds of principles that we're trying to provide at Metrolinx: reliability, comfort, convenience, information systems. You know, the principles outlined in the Rapid Ready study are very consistent with the principles that we talk at Metrolinx. And you know, in the end, it's about how do we build service, build ridership, so that when we introduce light rail transit in this city, that the ridership is going to be there. And it's not just about the LRT as well, it's about the entire system in the city. Because it's, you know, people are trying to get around your entire community, and how do you connect those different elements?
And connect to a very big investment, which is our GO station at James Street North. And we really owe it to Metrolinx and the province for having the confidence in Hamilton to put that infrastructure in. That's not cheap. Would that be in the order of?
Well, we're going to be investing close to $80 million in the track improvements alone to introduce the service in 2015. And you know, we're really excited about providing new service, and if nothing better for an agency like Metrolinx and GO Transit to bring in an opportunity for new customers. And I was down at the site last week to look at it and see some of the developments already occurring close by the James North Station, and I think it's a real opportunity for ourselves and for the city to really make a lasting change.
So we know that one of these locomotives is going to sometime by 2015, in time for the Pan Ams, be rolling in with a train full of people. But is there anything we can say specifically right now in terms of other parts of the Rapid Ready planning? Are there still various configurations that we might see in terms of how the project evolves?
How the GO project, or the
not the GO,
city?
But the bus, the rapid, the light rail, and so on.
Well, we've been working with the City of Hamilton for some time now in terms of getting the LRT projects ready for implementation when it's the right time to do that. So in going through that process, there's some really specific questions that will have to be answered in terms of alignments, in terms of where vehicles are maintained and stored overnight, for example, where specific station locations are. So there's still work that's being done, you know, largely being driven by your staff in the City of Hamilton, but we're working very closely with them. And you know, one of the pieces as you look at the implementation of Rapid Ready is how do we actually connect up and down the James North corridor so that the new station is well connected to the rest of the local transit system. And there obviously are opportunities for bus connections, but I know the city has plans as well for the A line for the future too. So we want to keep talking about those and see how we can fit those into the plans.
Well, you know, one early manifestation was a change in some routing and some generosity from GO that allowed us to bring some city buses right into the GO Hunter Street station. And what a great intermodal connectivity that proved to be. But still lots of work ahead of us, but very exciting times. Bruce McCuaig, I know how busy you are, so it's a real pleasure for me to be able to have you speak to the people. And as we leave this segment, I'd like the website, the Metrolinx website, if we have it, to go on screen and allow people to know how to access further the information that Metrolinx will be putting out.
Yeah, by all means, people should visit us at www.bigmove.ca, and there's great information there, and we're inviting comments and feedback.
Bruce, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
We'll be back in just a moment. This is Bob Bratina, the Mayor of the City of Hamilton. Bob Bratina, the Mayor of the City of Hamilton, back again with you, and a very exciting program. I hope you feel that way too, because we're talking about the wonderful growth and future of the City of Hamilton based on the transportation network that Metrolinx is helping to devise around us. But as well, there's a lot of fun in the future, if you will, in terms of sports, entertainment, because of the recent agreement signed between the city and, well, I should say, the new HECFI organization, which is the city, and Michael Andelauer and the Hamilton Bulldogs hockey team. So let's take a look at that news clip right now.
It's a pleasure for me to announce that the Bulldogs have agreed to a 3-year lease extension with a 2-year option with the City of Hamilton and Global Spectrum Live Nation to remain the prime tenant of Copps Coliseum, of which we've been here since 1996. In accordance with the lease, the Bulldogs have also signed a 3-year extension with a 2-year option with the Montreal Canadiens, our partner for the last 11 seasons.
Obviously, this is a huge win for the City of Hamilton. What does this mean for the Bulldogs as a team?
I think as a team, it keeps the foundation of having a great location, fan base that's knowledgeable of the American Hockey League. Certainly, the leaseholds that we did in the building in terms of a professional dressing room and athletic facility, the access to direct flights, access to a lot of scouts and hockey knowledge, and proximity to the Montreal Canadiens in order to send people up or down, I think is very strategic, and I think that's good for the Bulldogs.
We are in a brand new situation with the Bulldogs. Already we've seen in the previous HECFI operation, which is now changed, that we saved over $1 million on the losses of the previous years. And those $1 million were the ones that we were giving through the deal with the Bulldogs, and Mr. Andelauer is almost giving us a gift back of that amount of money. I'm only telling you that story to show where the level of integrity of Michael Andelauer lies with regard to his relationship with the city. We have such a good partnership with the Bulldogs, and I was thrilled to see that agreement finally passed and signed, and I signed it in my office not so long ago. And I will repeat about the integrity of Mr. Andelauer. We're very lucky in Hamilton to have 2 outstanding sports owners, Bob Young and Michael Andelauer, both of whom deservedly received the Queen's Jubilee Medal. And I'll speak to Mr. Andelauer's case right now. All of the things that he does for the city outside of hockey with regard to proper and nutritious breakfast for school children and things like that is really remarkable. And for him to turn back a deal that saw his expenses all covered by the city because the city was losing a serious amount of money on that, and saying, I'll take it back and I'll operate it and there won't be any more impact on the city, is truly remarkable. And it's been a remarkable week, and I've got to show you something. You may know I like trains. So how do you think I felt on Tuesday, March the 5th, when this article appeared in the Hamilton Spectator. Look at that, rail is changing our city, and a front page article, no railways, no Hamilton, at least not the city we know. And I usually plagiarize Sir Allan MacNab's statement, who said in his day, railways are my politics. Well, it's a lot of my politics, I have to say. And the center section of the Spectator had this piece, which you now see on your screen. And it's an excellent railway map showing the miles and miles of railway track that continue to be in our city, and the GO trains and some of the history. A really important piece, just setting the framework for a lot of the changes that we're going to see in Hamilton over the next little while, with more rail, with light rail, with more GO train activity, and all of that. So Sir Allan MacNab certainly was prophetic in terms of the relationship between railways and the growth of the city. He actually talked the Great Western Railway into bringing the track, which could have run from Niagara Falls to London, all south of the escarpment. And that would have saved them going up and down a very steep hill. But he wanted that railway track to come into the city of Hamilton, which it did, and then it had to go back up the hill. And the hill in Dundas, where you see those trains go up behind the Dundas Golf and Country Club, the railwaymen will tell you, is the steepest grade in Canada. It's steeper than the fabled ones in the Rocky Mountains. The only thing is it's shorter. Those ones go for miles and miles and miles. And when you leave Bayview Junction and you go up the Dundas Hill and you go past the old station site, at about Copetown, you're pretty much at the top of the hill, and that's it. They have a lot longer grades in the west, but not as steep as ours. That's our show for today. I'm Bob Bratina, the Mayor of the City of Hamilton. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope you'll enjoy my enthusiasm for our city, because we are at a very special time in our history, and it's all good. Thank you. We'll see you next time.